5 must-see places in the United States. There are many beautiful places to see all across the world. Some can be found in nature, like tall, snow-covered mountains or crystal-clear waters among sandy shores. Others are man-made and share the rich history of a certain time and place. Countries around the world have unique landmarks all their own. The United States is a young country compared to many others. However, in its short time as a nation, the country has become a symbol of freedom and democracy. Many landmarks tell the interesting story of the United States. These include the White House, the Statue of Liberty, and Ellis Island, Mount Rushmore, the Empire State Building, and the National Mall. One of the most famous landmarks in the United States is the White House. In the late 70s, it was decided that the country needed a capital city. The first President George Washington picked a site on the Potomac River midway between the northern and southern states. This spot was eventually called Washington, District of Columbia. Work on the White House began in 1792. President George Washington oversaw the construction, but he never lived there. It was the second president, John Adams, elected in 1796, who first lived in the White House. His term was almost over by the time he moved in, and only 6 rooms had been finished. While James Madison was president from 1809 to 1817, the United States went to war with England. On August 24, 1814, British soldiers sailed up the Potomac River and set fire to the White House. A summer thunderstorm put out the fire, but only the burnt outside walls and the interior brick walls remained. It took 3 years to rebuild the White House. The White House had expanded through its history. These expansions include the addition of West Wing in 1901 and the first Oval Office in 1909. Other additions and remodeling projects took the place under Theodore Roosevelt, William Taft, and Harry S. Truman. As one can imagine, today's White House is quite different from the original. There are 132 rooms, 35 bathrooms, and 6 levels for the people who visit, live, and work in the White House. There are also 412 doors, 147 windows, 28 fireplaces, 8 staircases, and 3 elevators. The White House has a variety of facilities able for these residents. These include a tennis court, a jogging track, a swimming pool, a movie theater, a billboard room, and a bowling lane. About 6,000 people visit the White House every day. Those who want to visit must apply months in advance, and many are not able to get in. This is because there is a limit on the number of spots for each tour. Other United States landmarks are much easier to explore. These include Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. Ellis Island was the largest immigration station in the United States from 1892 to 1954. Over 12 million immigrants came through Ellis Island during this period. The island was called the Island of Hope for many immigrants, hoping to find better lives by coming to America. Today, tourists can visit Ellis Island, where the main building is now an immigration museum. Beside Ellis Island is the Liberty Island, where the Statue of Liberty stands tall. Dedicated in 1886, the statue was a gift from the people of France. It stands for the freedom and liberty of the United States democracy. The figure is modeled after a Roman goddess named Libertas. Today, the Statue of Liberty is one of the most popular places to visit in the United States. Around 4 million people go to the monument each year. It is free to visit, but it costs money to take the ferry to the island. Those who want to climb to the top must get tickets early. Only 240 people each day are allowed to climb to the crown. Another amazing U.S. landmark to visit is Mount Rushmore. The Mount Rushmore National Memorial is a sculpture carved into the side of a mountain. Mount Rushmore is located in Black Hills of South Dakota. Local historian Dorian Robson came up with the idea for Mount Rushmore in 1923. He wanted to bring more tourists to South Dakota. The carving of Mount Rushmore began in October 4th, 1927, and was finished 14 years later on October 31st, 1941. Gaston Borglum, a famous Dutch-American sculptor, was chosen for Mount Rushmore project after his death in March 1941. His son, Lincoln Borglum, continued the work. It was completed later that year. The memorial shows 4 American presidents: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. These presidents represented the first 130 years of American history. The monument became a very popular place to visit. Over 2 million tourists visit Mount Rushmore each year. The Empire State Building is another must-see landmark in the United States. Located in New York City, it is one of the most famous skyscrapers in the world. It was designed to be the tallest building ever built. Work on the Empire State Building began on March 17, 1930, and was finished on April 11, 1931. It held the title of world's largest building for almost 40 years. The Empire State Building was named a National Historic Landmark in 1986. It was also named one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. Even though the skyscraper is nearly 90 years old, it is still one of New York's most popular buildings. More than 3 million people visit it each year. The views from the top are amazing. The Empire State Building has also been featured in more than 250 television shows and movies. It first appeared in the famous film King Kong in 1933. It can also be seen in many other movies, including Elf, Spider-Man, and The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Another famous U.S. landmark is the National Mall, located in Washington, D.C. It is an area of land that includes the Washington Monument, the World War II Memorial, and the Lincoln Memorial. It also includes museums, fountains, and many more historical monuments and memorials. The National Mall has been a work in progress for the last 200 years. The idea for the National Mall came from Pierre Charles L'Enfant, a French engineer in 1791. President Washington hired L'Enfant to develop a plan for the area. He imagined trees, gardens, and a canal crossing the front of the Capitol building. However, his plans were changed over time. In 1902, plans were made to change the National Mall to a Civil War memorial. The Lincoln Memorial was built at one end, and the memorial to General Ulysses S. Grant was built in front of the Capitol at the other. The Arlington Memorial Bridge was also built as a symbol link the north to the south. Since then, other memorials that celebrate U.S. history and culture have been built today. The National Mall is America's most popular national park, with over 25 million visitors each year. Historic landmarks tell the rich history of a nation. For United States, many speak of the country's fight for freedom. Some show the people or events that forever changed the great nation. Others show amazing works of art that have stood the test over time. These are 5 of the must-see places in the United States.